Thank you for your attendance. ODIHR's got a tough job. After the war, we saw democracy come to a lot of countries, particularly after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Iron Curtain. But the problems of anti-Semitism and prejudice against the Roma have continued. They were two of the Nazis targeted Jews, and secondly, Roma. And they are the two significant groups where you see anti-Semitism and anti-Roma behavior. I'm not sure where I can ask you a question and you can be safe to answer it. But what would you say are the worst countries right now within the OSCE for tolerating or encouraging or permitting anti-Semitic and anti-Roma conduct?
I'm afraid I will not be able to answer this.
That's a tough question. I was in Budapest, and beautiful city, but there's problems there with anti-Semitism. They deny it. They claim, oh, we're great, we love Jews. Yeah, some of our best friends are Jews and all that stuff. But the rabbis told us, and the civil parts of the religious institutions told us that there's a lot of anti-Semitism and it's bad. And what they've done with Soros is obviously anti-Semitism. I mean, they've made him out to be the devil. Poland's got similar problems, I think. Would Poland and Hungary be at the top of a list?
It depends on how do you define it. What we see, if we take anti-Semitic attacks or attacks against the Jewish communities or people, we see a lot of them also in Germany and France, and here in the US, we also see these things. So it's reflected in so many different ways. In Hungary, we still have this anti-Soros legislation in place, which is anti-Semitic, if you like. So it depends on, how do you measure that? How do you, because anti-Semitism can be reflected in so many different manners.
Yeah, it's hard to measure, I understand that, and maybe it's not a good question. I guess what I'm saying is I'm distraught at the idea that 75 years after the fall of Germany, that anti-Semitism's on the rise, and it's on the rise in this country too. But what I saw in Hungary was really disturbing. It was a denial of what was going on. And Soros was truly used. And he's been used in this country as well, but I don't know if it's been as directly considered anti-Semitic as what we've seen in Hungary, but it's been pretty bad too in this country. Soros is just trying to give people education to promote democracy, and yet he's vilified. And that happens in this country as well. What happens in France, and I heard a lot about it when I was in France, a lot of that, I guess, has to do with maybe Muslim immigrants. It's in a lot of the neighborhoods where the problems exist. Is that accurate, or is it just the French? Are they not without blame themselves too?
Of course, some of these attacks can be traced to that kind of neighborhoods, but I think, and now I'm talking from the top of my head, that more of these attacks come from extreme right-wing populists groups. So that is a concern because they have been growing in influence in countries like Germany, France, Italy, and some other countries. And with that comes, we see more intolerance against those who are the others, who are different. And because you mentioned the Roma people, that is very concerning because I always say, and I'm saying it here again, the Roma people, if you look at Europe, they are at the bottom. If we have a hierarchy of discrimination, they are at the bottom there. They are the most vulnerable group in Europe, in my opinion now. And they have been attacked in so many European countries. And I'm not going to mention these countries, but this is really concerning.
There was a Roma representative at the UN program on Monday concerning the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, and he talked about the fact that the Roma Holocaust hasn't really been recognized, and it needs to be. How are black people in general treated in Europe? Are they discriminated against in a fairly systematic manner as well?
They are definitely also experiencing discrimination. And we have been working with people of African descent in Europe to identify this discrimination. But I think, and we always have to be concerned about discrimination against all these groups when things are developing as they are now in Europe. But the Roma are definitely those who are, I would say, the most discriminated.
And my time is up, but in just my general observations, it looks like the worst areas are for discrimination and all, it's in the former Soviet republics who are close to Russia and concerned and pop nationalists and all, but there's other places too. But where there seems to be no problems is Iceland. Thank you. I yield back the balance of my time.